Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Sumner County Sports Show. I am your host, Blaine Keller, sports editor of the Hendersonville Standard, Gallatin News, and Portland Sun. Hope all of you had a wonderful weekend celebrating Father's Day. I know I did, and even more excited for the holiday coming up, July 4th, sneaking up on us here. Independence Day is, but we're going to jump right into our show here, talking once again with Full Count Rhythm head coach and general manager Josh Carman. Won 9 straight games recently, had a couple of losses, but bounced back last night. Coach Carman, how are we feeling 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks now into your OVL season?
Good morning, Blaine. Thanks for having me. We're feeling great. You know, guys are starting to settle into routine. We preach that from the day they get here to have a routine. Baseball is a very routine sport, and really committing to that routine. So I feel like the guys are doing a great job. Like you said, we rattled off 9 straight, and we dropped two and had a good bounce back win last night. So.
Coach, they say you learn more about a team through losses than wins. Of course, those 9 straight must have felt great for you and your squad, especially at this point of the year. And I'm sure that 10-0 win over, I believe, Madisonville last night was even greater after those two losses over the weekend. But overall, did you feel like you learned anything about this year's club through those two losses this weekend?
I do. In that 9 game streak, we had uh, three or four of them that were one-run games, and I know two of them we had to battle back at the end. So it really showed the competitiveness of our squad, and just their ability to stay in the fight during a game, and not to let the highs get too high and the lows get too low, but to kind of keep that even kill um, emotions in those games. And felt like we learned a lot. There were some that were easy wins, and then some we had to really fight for and battle back. And the 2 game losses that we had lately, I think we were coming off of 2 really hard weeks for us. You know, we had kid camp that one week. Last week we had a few guys out in Nicaragua on a mission trip. So we were a little short-handed, and the guys were just tired. We had a 2-day break, 2 off days in a row, and bounced back last night with Madisonville, where we really looked rested and kind of re-energized.
Talk about the response a little bit there. Of course, there are some of those factors that are out of your control whenever you have players out or you have a long stretch of games where you're just playing through the grind of a season. But talk about the response of your players last night, bouncing back from maybe those two losses.
No, it's great. We, after the loss on Saturday night, where we in 12 innings, we challenged them a little bit. That this game is tough, and if this is the profession that you want to do for the rest of your life, then it's not easy. It's not always going to bounce your way. Um, you know, Calls aren't going to go your way, but it's a tough profession. It's a tough game. It can humble you really quick, and so we challenged them a little bit. The bounce back was great. It looks like they accepted the challenge and rose to the occasion. I think we put up 16 hits last night. Played really good defense, and again, the story's been our pitching. It's been phenomenal, and it was again last night.
Going back to what you mentioned there a second ago, you had a couple of players go on a mission trip to Nicaragua last week. Talk about that a little bit and maybe how many players were involved there.
So Full Count Ministries owns and operates Full Count Rhythm, the college team, and so there's mission trips throughout the summer that Full Count takes high school and college baseball players on, or anybody that wants to go down to Nicaragua and use the game of baseball to share the gospel. And last week we had 2 guys on the trip, and this week we've got 4. So we're down 4 players this week. Right now, we've got 4 down there, and then in July there will be 3 more weeks where we've got players going. I think we've got a total of 11 rhythm guys that are going spread out over the summer. Um, so although they're absent from us in the summer, they're still getting some work in playing down in Nicaragua. So it's just a really good time to just it's I think it's where you can go and really find joy playing this game. There's no pressure, and you really realize how to play the game the way it's meant to be played.
What all does that trip entail, maybe just based on what you've heard? And overall, how does full count rhythm maybe develop the spiritual, or how does that impact the spiritual side of a player as opposed to maybe some other OVL teams that might not have that opportunity?
Yeah, well, we're different. Like I said, we're ministry based. Full Count Ministries has been around for about 13 years, and although Rhythm's only been alive for 3 years, we're very intentional about sharing the gospel with our players. We're very intentional about teaching them not only to train in the game of baseball, but to train in the spiritual life. And, we've got a slogan. It's called Training for an Eternal Crown, a crown that will last forever. And we believe that's eternity with Christ. And that starts with a relationship with Christ. And so in our rhythm season, we spend a lot of time talking about that one on one, also in corporate settings with the whole team, with our Tuesday lunches and speakers that come in. So we do a lot of that, and then also the opportunities there for every player if he wants to go on a mission trip in the summer to Nicaragua. I've been on about 40 of them in Nicaragua on those trips. I don't get to go on the summer trips anymore, but I've been there before, and it was a marker in my spiritual life, being able to go on that trip in 2013 for the first time. So I'm a product of this ministry. I'm a product of discipleship. I'm a product of somebody sharing the gospel with me. So I know how impactful it is to go down there. You see poverty, you see um people that don't have a whole lot, but they're very content with what they have, and there's real joy in that if you can understand it. It's kind of an upside down uh, theory of what we think in our world, the way we live, that more is better. But you go down there, you get a whole. You don't get a piece of humble pie. You get the whole pie. So I think it's a big deal for these guys to go and look. And I've never been on a bad trip, and I don't know that I've met anybody that's been on a bad one.
For you personally, and maybe from what you've heard from fellow players, how did those trips kind of change your perspective? Maybe in the time that you get to spend there, when you come back, how do you feel like your perspective maybe changes, not only on baseball but life in general?
Well, gosh, there's many ways that your perspective changes. Like I said, they don't have a lot of equipment down there. They don't have the $400 gloves or the 350 $400 bats. In some cases they've got a rock and a limb off a tree, and they play, and they have a lot of joy in playing the game. When we go down there, it's kind of like the circus comes to town. We've got equipment, we've got stuff, so it's exciting for the guys in Nicaragua to come and play us, the teams that we play down there. We leave all that equipment with them, so we're able to outfit them and give to them, and just gives you an opportunity to give gifts away that you've been blessed with, and bless other people. But from a perspective of a player, uh, we worry a whole lot about what our fields look like here, what our uniforms look like, having the best glove and the best bat. So you get down there, and a guy shows up to a field that you're playing against that day, and he's got a bat that we probably wouldn't be caught dead swinging here in the States. But man, he's just there's so much joy just all over his face that he owns a bat. or a glove, and so that kind of puts it to perspective, and just them wanting to know what you know about the game. They watch every move you make. They cling to every word you say. So the influence you have by the gifts that the Lord's given you and the ability to play this game is really moving. To watch.
Well, that's really wonderful stuff. And I'm glad we got a moment here on the Sumner County Sports Show today to talk about that. But let's close us out here the last 10, 15 minutes, talk about what happened during the week for the Full Count Rhythm for the players that were here. You had a doubleheader on Friday against the Henderson Flash, 2 7-inning games. One of them was, as you mentioned earlier, a 1-run win, another game where you were able to pull one out. And the other one was a combined no hitter. Just how did this team respond so well to playing 14 innings and playing both of them exceptionally well, especially with the kind of schedule that you guys play?
Yeah, they're tough, and we kind of stumbled into a doubleheader. I'm not a big fan of them in the summer. It's hot, and you burn up a lot of arms in one day, and you still got to play, you know, 5 other nights that week or 6 nights. So they're tough. Doubleheaders are tough in the summer, but the guys responded well. Um, Going to Henderson, who's historically a really good franchise and a tough team to beat and compete with. It's fun to play them because every time we play them, it's exciting. Two good ball clubs competing, two well-ran organizations, and in the first game we jump out on them and we go to our bullpen and couple little hits here and there. You make a mistake and you walk a guy, and you next thing you know, you're fighting in a 1-run game, and so we were able to pull that one out. And then, of course, as you mentioned in the second game, our pitching staff was exceptionally well and throwing strikes, getting ahead of hitters, and not giving free passes is the big deal. Henderson can swing it a little bit, they can hit, so. Coming out with a combined no hitter was good. So we were excited for that, and then ran into the weekend, and I think Saturday night we kind of ran out of steam. It was really hard having that doubleheader the night before, and then we go to Dubois County on Saturday, and that's always a tough environment to go into. They had a promotion night that night. There was 3,000 fans in the stadium, and that's kind of a tough environment to go into and win. But it was a good game. We played well. We didn't come out on top, and that's just kind of how it works. And then we get to Sunday night, and I think we just ran out of steam a little bit, and really didn't play well. Kind of felt like one of those days where you just show up and you kind of go through the motions a little bit, and you took a team for granted, and when that happens, a lot of times the game that's the way it'll do you. You'll get in a 13-inning dogfight with a team that you shouldn't be in that kind of game with, and you come out on the bottom end of it.
Yeah, that one must have been kind of difficult facing off against Bowling Green and having such a long game, especially on Father's Day.
Yeah.
A lot of players probably, I'm sure some of them at least, had their fathers in attendance and maybe wanted to grab a bite after the game or something. But at that point, when you're playing that late in the day, I mean, the only thing that might be open is McDonald's.
Yeah, maybe, or Crystals. I'm trying to push them to Crystals. A lot of these guys they've never had a Crystals cheeseburger before, but man, I'm trying to change their life, and
You're a big Crystals guy, huh?
I like them.
Huh.
I don't discriminate against much food.
Well, let's go back to this combined no hitter. Talk a little bit more about that here. Nick Griffin, a guy we've talked about, it feels like every episode on this show. He started that no hitter at 3 innings, and then Aaron Hash and Jackson Underwood ended it with 4 perfect frames. Which of those 3 performances did you feel like you were most impressed with when you look back at that 7-inning game?
Well, a couple of them. I think the first two that you mentioned, Nick Griffin and Aaron Hash, and I'll start with Griff. Griff's coming off an injury, and so that was his second time on a mound thrown in a game, and to go 3 innings. He was about a 57% strike thrower that night. Mentally for him, just battling through an injury, the injury that he had, and then the long recovery. You've got a mental hurdle to get over once you come off an injury like that, and so for him to get back out there um, and kind of face that head on is huge for him. And I thought he did a great job of it. Um, he had a few more walks than he would like, and that's part of the process of returning from an arm injury. But still was able to strike out 8 guys in 3 innings, and allowed a run that scored off of a walk. Still no hits, and then Aaron Hash to come in behind him and pitch 3 innings behind him, and no hits, no runs, no walks, struck out 7. So it was good. I was impressed with both of those guys, and then Underwood to come in and just slam the door on the back end, pitch 1 inning, and complete the no hitter. So those are fun. No hitters are fun when the guy goes the distance, but I kind of feel like it's a little more of a challenge, and maybe a little more rewarding when you use 3 arms um, to keep the no hitter. Um, just because the pressure mounts when you go to the bullpen and there's a 0 in the hit column, and you bring 2 guys behind the guy that started it. There's a lot of pressure on those 2 guys.
Coach, you got 3 more games this week due to kind of a weird scheduling situation where you were supposed to play Owensboro, I believe, on Sunday and then Tuesday. But of course, the River Dogs opted out at the start of the season, so that gives you 2 extra off days. Do you feel like that helps your team or hurts your team at this part of the year?
Well, I think it helps. We're kind of in the middle stretch of the season. The way our schedule worked on the front end with our camp week and missing some guys on the mission field. We've had 3 straight weeks where we had Owensboro scheduled up against our day off. So I think it's helped us tremendously, just resting and recovering, and now once we get through this weekend. We'll be on the 6-day-a-week schedule, and we can kind of fall into a routine and feel like we're a little bit rested. But we've got 3 more this week. Tonight's going to be a tough one. The Louisville Jockeys are coming to Hendersonville tonight. They're the league's best offense. I think they're hitting about 320 as a team. And I've heard from the league office that at the highlighted game this week is the Rhythm versus the Jockeys. You got the league's best offense versus the league best pitching staff. So they're hitting 320, and we're pitching at a 1.9. So it ought to be an exciting game. We get to settle the debate tonight, pitching or hitting. What's better?
Yeah, and looking at that game and also a 9-win Fulton team also on the schedule for
Yeah.
this week. It's only 3 games, but 2 really tough opponents. Do you feel like this stretch of games holds any more weight than the other games you've played so far to this year?
Uh, you know, Not necessarily. It's still regular season games. However, we're gonna approach the last 3 games tonight and Friday and Saturday. We're gonna approach it with kind of a playoff mentality. Just give us a little dry run of what the playoffs will look like in a 3-game series. So our message tonight to the guys is let's have a test run here. Not to add any pressure, but just to step up and compete and kind of take a mindset of that. Let's treat it like a playoff series with Louisville and Fulton in a home and home Friday Saturday. Fulton's a tough opponent as well. It's tough to go play at their field. It's a unique field. It's a fun and exciting field, but it's unique in itself, and the way the field's shaped. You really got to pitch when you go there. They got a short porch in right and really deep in left, and then the bleachers they're right on top of you. It's kind of like a chicken coop uh, that's sitting right behind home plate. So it's loud. It gets rowdy up there. So we're going to approach these next 3 nights like a playoff series and just see how it works out for us.
And when you're coming off a game where you had 10 runs, and you've
Yeah.
talked about earlier in the summer where the offense has been something that's needed to come along, how important do you feel like getting those hits, stringing those hits along with the wood bats are going to be for these next three?
I think they're going to be very important in these next 3 games, and we're just looking for some consistency there, right? I don't expect us to put up 16 to 20 hits every night, and but we're just looking for consistency, and we're just trying to have a good approach at the plate, stay balanced in the box, and let the barrel do the damage. You know, Not us, but let the weapon do the damage. And so I think we're making good progress there. The guys are buying into it. And so we're like I said, we're just looking for consistency at the plate, and then for our pitching staff to just continue to do what it's doing, and I think we'll be just fine.
Coach Carmen, we'll give you one more, then we'll get you out of here. You're 3 weeks, almost a month now into your season here with the Full Count Rhythm, third year with this club. But give us your favorite moment of this year's team, baseball or not, and who you think has been the biggest surprise thus far.
Man, favorite moment, golly, I don't know. There's a couple. We like to have fun and joke around, and I think we like birthdays around here. So uh, anytime one of the players have a birthday, we make them a cake. And I don't know if we spoke about this on a earlier episode, but we had a few birthdays last week where we were able to uh, crack some eggs and dump some flour and some water on some guy's head and literally make them a cake uh, with the ingredients. So that was pretty fun. It was a good moment. Um, and then I guess the surprise thus far is our pitching staff as a whole. Really, you got 17 guys down there, and they're able to pitch at the level they're pitching. That's been a big surprise. I knew our staff was going to be good, um, but man, it's hard to pitch at a 1.9 ERA. So that kind of surprises me a little bit. That's
Let's just
low.
say I'm glad that I don't have a summer birthday. I would not want that in any way, shape, or form. But Coach
Yeah.
Carving, thank you so much again, as always, for your time. Best of luck tonight against Louisville, and as the week progresses against Fulton for both of those games. And we'll catch you and perhaps maybe a player next week.
Yep. Sounds good. Thanks, Blaine. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, that was Josh Carmen, Full Count Rhythm head coach and general manager. We're going to take a quick break here on the Sumner County Sports Show. When we come back, give you a few Sumner County storylines, and we'll get you out of here. We'll see you.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd, the goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Experience Predators hockey all season long. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets and join the Loyal Legion today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets, and we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
There is nothing better than drinking an ice-cold beverage while taking in a Nashville Sounds baseball game. Hi, I'm Stephanie Miller with Mornings on Main Street. The Nashville Sounds and Main Street Media Television have teamed up to promote Sunday Family Fun Day here at First Horizon Park each Sunday home game. Just go to your favorite Main Street Media website and click on Sounds Main Street Media Day banner to register to win free tickets. And then we'll see you here at the ballpark.
Tired of hanging lights every year? We get it. That's why Southern Nights is here to help. We install programmable lighting on your home or business so you can enjoy beautiful, customizable lighting all year round. No more ladders, tangled lights, or cold nights outside. We do the work, you do the celebrating. Call Southern Nights today and take the hassle out of holiday lighting forever. For a free quote, give us a call at 931-241-3074 or visit our Facebook page at Southern Nights.
Welcome back to the Sumner County Sports Show, brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, where fans don't let fans drive drunk. As always, great stuff from Josh Carman there, although I'm going to have to disagree with him about Crystal. Not a big little slider guy. Don't really like those burgers. I can understand why some of his full count players might have some hesitation on that. But all of that to say, let's head into our Sumner County storylines and close out the show today. The big news from Sumner County out of the past weekend: Smith County quarterback and Kentucky baseball commitment Caden Powell has reportedly transferred to Beach. Speaking with Caden and I believe his father this tomorrow, so that will be Friday. Going to have a great story up on that, on why and what led them to that decision. Powell, only a sophomore, he just completed his freshman year. He had 969 yards and 13 touchdowns passing, 946 yards and 16 touchdowns rushing in his freshman season at Smith County. Almost a 30 touchdown year as a freshman. Almost had 2,000 all-purpose yards. He hit 400 this past year as a baseball player, I believe an outfielder for Smith County. Really exciting pickup for the football side and the baseball side, even if, things fall through on football. Of course, you've got a star outfielder joining a team that won the district championship this past year. One story to look out for there, and two more. Station Camp's Macaulay Bailey, who graduated in 2022, was recently off a Division II All-American nomination and a Freshman of the Year award after batting .424 with 15 home runs and 67 RBIs as a freshman. So back-to-back freshman news there, one at the college level, one at the high school level. Be on the lookout for a story about her soon. I just got off the phone with her yesterday. That would be Wednesday. And then we've got some Tennessee Sports Writers Association all-state teams. The all-state softball team released yesterday. And though no Sumner County athletes made the team, soccer releases today, and baseball will cap off the week on Friday. Now, all of that to say, I'm sure you're tired of hearing Sumner County storylines about all state teams and all county teams, because they've been the meat and potatoes of what we've talked about these past few weeks. But to tell you the truth, with balancing Robertson County and Sumner County on my plate, we're now approaching our 7th, 6th, and 8th all-county teams. I just released our all-Robertson County soccer team this past week, today actually. So that's 8 all-county teams that I've had to kind of dig my head into with stats, and now I'm slowly lifting myself out of it and starting to get towards some really fun stories through the dead period and then leading up into football season. That's really the extent of what we've got going on here in Sumner County. Be sure to check out the Full Count Rhythm sometime this week. They've got a couple of really exciting games heading up. I'm certain to watch some box scores, and hopefully sometime next week before the holiday, head out there and watch a game. We'll see you next week on the Sumner County Sports Show. Stay tuned for some wonderful sports coverage brought to you by Main Street Preps and the Sumner County. See ya.